Alright, so iPad Pro 2017 10.5 inch, second generation in 2022. What do I still think about it? Do I recommend it? Do I still think you should buy it today? Or are you better off buying a newer one? What is up, you guys? I'm Just Green, and in this video I'm going to explain all of that. And I know it's been a while since my last upload. I apologize, I've been away due to school and work. But anyways, without further ado, let's just get straight into the video. Alright, so I'll start off here by going over some of the basic specs. So they come in 4 different colors: space gray, rose gold, gold, and silver. They come in either 64GB, 256GB, or 512GB in terms of storage. It also comes in Wi-Fi and cellular. I have the cellular model. As for the display, it's a 10.5 inch Retina display. Comes in at 2224 by 1668. That's the resolution, at 264 pixels per inch. It's got the ProMotion technology, so that means this display is capable of running at anywhere between as low as 10 Hz and 120 Hz, depending on the content. So this is not your typical 60 Hz panel. And the display is really smooth, really silky smooth on this tablet. Because of that 120 Hz ProMotion technology, that was one of the big selling points of this iPad when it first came out. And I'm happy to see that it finally came to the iPhones this year. With the iPhone 13 Pro Series, I believe the Pro Series are the only ones that have it this year. As for the brightness, we're looking at about 500 nits. So that's definitely not the brightest display out there, but it's more than bright enough. Now as for the chipset, it is running Apple's A10X Fusion. And I'll be honest with you, this chip is still plenty fast considering the age of this iPad. This iPad is almost 5 years old now. It's not a slow iPad at all. It is still plenty fast for most people. But for as how much longer it will be supported for software updates, we could possibly be looking at until iOS 17, 18 maybe. So you have about 3 more years until this iPad is no longer supported by Apple. I mean, considering having looked at the iPad Air 2, for example, that thing is almost, I believe it is 8 years old now, and that one is running iOS 15. Now, it's probably the last year it will be supported, but I mean, yeah, that just goes to show you how Apple supports their devices for so long. Alright, moving back to the specs, you do also get a 12 megapixel camera. It does support auto HDR. It's pretty much the same camera you would get from an iPhone 7. And it's a pretty decent camera. It's not the best, not the worst, but it gets the job done. Although I probably wouldn't use an iPad as my camera to begin with. And this camera can actually go up to 4K resolution at 30 frames per second, which is actually pretty surprising. I'd probably just keep it in 1080p 60 frames per second though. But yeah, it's got a 4K option if you ever need it. And as for the front camera, it's a 7 megapixel. I believe it goes up to 1080p at 60 frames per second. So those are some of the basic specs, but what is it like to actually use this thing in 2022? So now we'll do a little bit of gaming. Nothing too resource heavy. The game is Roblox, in case you're wondering. And the game we're playing in Roblox is actually one of my games that I created myself. It's called Turbo Karts. So it's basically a kart racing game, similar to Mario Kart. So if you ever played that, you might be familiar with how this works. But it has its own twist to it though, so it's not completely like Mario Kart, but that's basically the general idea. So if you want to go check that out, feel free to. I'll leave it in the description of this video. I would really appreciate it. So this is kind of a heavy game, but I've really tried to optimize it to run on mobile devices, and this iPad just handles it like nothing. It just runs really well. Like, there's hardly any lag spikes, there's hardly any choppiness whatsoever. It definitely is there, it can be there at times, but like, for the most part, this is definitely still playable 100%, no doubt. So yeah, this is definitely still a great performer when it comes to gaming. Alright, and now we're going to do a speaker test. So this iPad has the 4 speaker system. It's got 2 on one side, 2 on the other, so it kind of has like a full stereo effect, which is really nice to have, as the sound is not lopsided to one side, so it's coming from all 4 speakers all around the device. It just makes you feel more immersed in the content that you're viewing. I wouldn't say it's an absolute game changer, but considering the other iPads don't even have this is really nice to have. But anyways, let's hear what these speakers sound like. So what do you think about the speakers? I actually think they sound really good. Apple makes some great sounding speakers in my opinion, and this one is no exception. Even at max volume, I couldn't really tell any distortion going on with the sound. So yeah, I think the speaker quality is still on point here. And I think that will wrap it up for this video. So if there's anything that I missed in this video or haven't covered, feel free to leave a comment about that and I could try to answer your questions and concerns regarding this iPad. So to summarize this video, again, is this still worth picking up in 2022? Or should you get something newer like the 2018 iPad Pro or maybe even the iPad Air free? I would say yes and no. And yes, because it's still a great performer in this day and age. And no, for a couple bucks more, if not the same price, you could probably get something newer and better and more future-proof like the 2018 iPad Pro like I said. So if you're someone coming from like an older iPad, this is still a great option, no doubt, but I'd probably just go with the 2018 iPad Pro at this point in time because this iPad is kind of starting to age. So personally, I'd go for a 2018 iPad Pro if you plan on keeping it much longer. That one has a newer chipset, that one will perform better than this one in the coming years, and it's overall just newer and better at the end of the day, but this is still not a bad device. This is still a really great performer, and if you plan on keeping this for a while, you probably have about 3 more years. Like I said, it might be supported up till iOS 18, so that's still plenty of time. So I do think this iPad is still worth it. However, I would probably recommend you go out and buy something newer if you plan to keep it long. So there you have it, the 2017 iPad Pro 10.5 inch, second generation in 2022. What do you guys think? Would you still pick this up in 2022? Do you still own this device? Would you still recommend this to others? I'd like to hear from you guys in the comments below, but anyways, if you found this video helpful, consider leaving me a like and subscribing to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. And until then, I'll see you guys in the next video, hopefully sooner. And with that being said, thanks for watching.